They turned the pressure up, way past human limits. Bones should have cracked. Lungs should have failed. He didn't flinch. He didn't scream. He smiled, and that smile just changed everything. They thought pressure was just physics. The commander believed in numbers, in calculations, in controlled environments where outcomes could be predicted. He had conquered 6 systems using nothing but force and psychological collapse. No species had ever resisted once the gravity fields were turned up. The room hummed as the artificial gravity generator activated. The air thickened. The metal walls groaned softly like they were under strain. Blue warning lights flickered across the ceiling. Strapped to a reinforced steel chair sat the human. Blood traced a thin line from his eyebrow down his cheek. His shirt was torn, muscles tense under the crushing force. Veins stood out along his neck as the pressure increased, beyond what most beings could survive. The commander stepped closer, his biomechanical armor reflecting the sparks raining from a damaged conduit above. In his clawed hand, he held the control device, the dial glowing brighter with every increase. "Your skeletal structure is already fracturing," the commander said in a calm, distorted tone. "Your lungs are compressing. Your heart rate is irregular. Surrender." The human lifted his head slowly and smiled. Not a desperate smile, not hysterical. Calm, almost amused. The commander paused. He adjusted the dial higher. The gravity multiplied. The steel bolts in the chair creaked. A crack formed in the floor panel beneath them. The human's breathing grew heavier. His fingers tightened around the armrests until his knuckles turned pale. But the smile didn't fade. "You misunderstand something?" the human finally said, voice strained but steady. "We train under pressure." The commander tilted his head slightly. "On your world," the alien replied, "your average atmospheric pressure is insignificant compared to this." The human let out a quiet chuckle, even as a drop of blood fell from his chin. "I'm not talking about air." The commander increased the gravity again. Warning alarms began flashing across the room. Even the alien's own armor compensated for the rising force. Still, the human held eye contact. There was something wrong here. Every species had a breaking point. There were patterns, biological limits, predictable collapse responses. But this one, his heart rate, though elevated, stabilized. His breathing adjusted. Muscle fibers trembled, then adapted. "You feel it, don't you?" the human said softly. "The difference?" The commander didn't answer, because he did feel it. Not physically, psychologically. The alien had studied humanity for months before invasion. A volatile species, divided, emotional, violent with each other. Weak, and yet this one man, restrained, bleeding, under crushing gravity, was smiling like he knew something the commander didn't. The dial was nearly at maximum. The commander stepped closer, lowering his masked face inches from the human's. "Explain," he demanded. The human's eyes gleamed despite the sweat and blood. "You think pressure destroys us," he whispered, "but pressure is what makes us." The room shook as another surge hit, and the human kept smiling. The commander had seen creatures beg before their bones snapped. He had heard the sounds of surrender in 1,000 languages. Screams, bargains, prayers whispered into the void. But this human, he was still smiling. The gravity field was now at a level that would have flattened most species into pulp. The steel chair's frame groaned violently. Microfractures spiderwebbed across the reinforced floor beneath it. Inside his armor, the commander activated additional stabilizers. Even he needed assistance now, and still, the human's eyes stayed locked on him. "You're damaging yourself," the commander said, though for the first time there was a slight edge in his voice. "Your internal organs are under catastrophic strain." The human exhaled slowly, forcing air into compressed lungs. "Yeah," he muttered. "Feels like leg day." The commander didn't understand the reference. He increased the pressure again. The human's head dipped forward. For a moment, the smile faded. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. The commander felt it, that familiar shift, the moment before collapse. This was the breaking point. This was always the breaking point. But then, the human inhaled again. Not weakly. Deliberately, his spine straightened against the crushing force. Muscles in his arms tightened, cords of strain visible beneath torn fabric. The restraints dug deeper into his skin, but he didn't scream. He lifted his head, and the smile returned. Not wide now, not playful, something darker. "You don't get it," he said hoarsely. "You invaded the wrong species." The commander's grip tightened around the control device. "We analyzed your military," the alien replied sharply. "We dismantled your orbital defenses in hours. Your governments fractured within days. Your cities fell in weeks." The human nodded slightly. "Yeah, that sounds about right." "Then why?" the commander demanded, stepping closer. "Are you not afraid?" The human's eyes flicked briefly to the ceiling, to the sparks. to the alarms flashing red across alien consoles. "Because," he said quietly, "you're making the same mistake every bully makes." The gravity reached maximum output. Warning sirens screamed now. Structural integrity alerts flashed across the chamber walls. The commander ignored them. This was about dominance, about proof, about breaking the myth of humanity before it could spread. The human's body trembled violently. His heart monitor spiked, then dipped, then stabilized again. Stabilized. Impossible. "How?" the commander whispered. The human's breathing slowed. "Controlled. Measured." "You think pressure is new to us?" he said. "We grow up under it. Expectations, war, competition, loss, gravity stronger than this on some of our planets. Training that pushes us past failure." The commander studied the readings again. Muscle fibers were tearing and reinforcing. Adrenaline levels were extreme, but controlled. Pain receptors were firing, yet the subject's psychological profile showed no panic, only resolve. "You're not surviving," the commander said slowly. The human's smile widened just a little. "No," he agreed. "I'm adapting." Something cold moved through the commander's core processors. For the first time since the invasion began, he felt uncertainty. And outside the chamber, deep within the warship's hull, something shifted. A subtle vibration that wasn't caused by the gravity field. The human noticed it, and his smile grew just a bit wider. The vibration came again, subtle, rhythmic, not part of the gravity generator. The commander's internal systems immediately began diagnostics. No structural breach detected, no weapon discharge, no reactor instability. Yet the vibration continued. The human noticed the slight pause in the commander's posture. "You hear that?" the human asked softly, even as the crushing gravity continued to press down on his bones. "There is no external threat," the commander replied sharply. But his voice was no longer perfectly steady. The human chuckled, low and controlled. "That's what you think." The commander scanned the chamber. His soldiers outside reported no anomalies. The warship remained cloaked in high orbit above Earth's shattered surface. Dominance was secured. Victory was calculated. So why was the human still smiling like this wasn't over? The vibration intensified, not violent but deliberate, like something large shifting its weight. Then one of the chamber screens flickered. Static. The commander turned his head sharply. "That system is isolated," he muttered. Another screen glitched, then another. The gravity field faltered for half a second. Just half, but it was enough. The human sucked in a deeper breath, not of relief, but preparation. "You analyzed our cities," the human said. "Our weapons, our politics." The commander snapped his attention back to him. "Yes, but you never analyzed us under invasion." The vibration became a deep hum now, resonating through the warship's hull. Suddenly, a sharp burst of static filled the room. An alien officer's voice crackled through the commander's comm channel. "Commander! We are detecting unauthorized signals within the ship's lower decks." The commander's armor stiffened. "Impossible." "Security protocols are overridden," the officer interrupted, panic bleeding through the transmission. "They're inside the systems." The human's smile sharpened. "Pressure," he said quietly. "You thought it only worked one way." The gravity generator flickered again. For a split second, the crushing force dropped by 10%. The commander immediately restabilized it, but now his attention was divided. Another report came in. "Commander, multiple compartments are venting atmosphere. On Deck 7, something is disrupting. Internal gravity alignment." The commander's gaze snapped back to the human. "You were captured alone," he hissed. "You had no communication device." The human tilted his head slightly despite the restraints biting into his skin. "Didn't need one." The commander replayed the invasion data in his mind. Humans scattered, military fragmented, resistance cells small and ineffective. But he had underestimated one factor: adaptation under stress. While the aliens tightened control, humans had studied them back, studied their ships, studied their systems, learned. The vibration now felt intentional, coordinated, not an accident, a response. "You increased the pressure on us," the human said, voice rough but confident. "So we increased it on you." Suddenly, the chamber doors behind the commander sparked violently. Energy pulses rippled across the frame. The gravity generator fluctuated again, this time dropping 20%. The human's shoulders lifted slightly as the force eased. Not free, but stronger. The commander realized something chilling. The human wasn't enduring this to survive. He was buying time. Another explosion echoed somewhere deep within the warship. Alarms shifted from warning to emergency evacuation protocols. And for the first time since conquering entire star systems, the commander understood what true pressure felt like. The human's smile never left his face. "Your move," he whispered. The chamber doors exploded inward, not from brute force, but from precision. A focused plasma cut sliced through the locking mechanisms in a perfect circle. The heavy alien alloy door crashed to the floor with a thunderous metallic boom. Smoke rolled into the room. Through it, silhouettes emerged. Human silhouettes, armored, controlled, purposeful. The commander stepped back instinctively, recalculating probabilities at impossible speed. His soldiers outside were reporting internal sabotage. System breaches, gravity distortions spreading deck by deck. How? He began. Pressure, the human in the chair said again. Voice steady now as the gravity field continued to destabilize. You really should have studied that word better. One of the human soldiers fired a compact device toward the gravity generator. It magnetized midair, locking onto the console. A sharp pulse burst from it. The crushing force vanished instantly. The sudden absence of pressure made the chamber feel light, almost fragile. The restrained human slumped forward for half a second. Then he straightened, slowly. Deliberately, the restraints, weakened by earlier strain and the gravity distortion, snapped under the shift of his weight. The commander stared. Bone density readings had shown fractures, muscle fiber tears, internal damage, and yet the human stood, bruised, bleeding, smiling. You let yourself get captured, the commander realized. The human rolled his shoulders, wincing slightly, but still grinning. Yeah, he admitted. You wanted a symbol, a broken human under your control. His team spread out around the chamber, weapons trained with calm precision. So we gave you one. The commander's armor shifted into combat stance. You are outnumbered, he said, though his tactical overlay showed rapidly decreasing odds. More human signals were appearing across the warship. Docking breaches, hull infiltrations, hijacked corridors. We were outgunned on day one, the human replied. Didn't stop us. Outside the chamber windows, something massive moved past the warship, a shadow against the stars. The commander's external sensors activated automatically. Human vessels, not large warships, modified cargo freighters, mining rigs, salvage haulers, civilian ships retrofitted into weapons platforms, improvised, unpredictable, dozens of them. You thought when you crushed our fleets. That was it, the human said, stepping closer now. No restraints, no gravity holding him down. But pressure doesn't erase us. The commander processed the incoming data. Human forces weren't engaging in a direct battle. They were destabilizing, overloading systems, turning the warship's own structure against itself. Adaptation, improvisation, resilience. You are chaotic, the commander said quietly. The human's smile softened, but didn't fade. Yeah, he said. We are. The chamber shook violently as another section of the ship depressurized. Emergency lights flickered red. The human leaned in close, locking eyes with the towering alien commander one final time. You increased the pressure, he said calmly, and we got stronger. He gestured slightly toward the collapsing warship. Now it's your turn. The commander felt it then, not physical gravity, not structural collapse, but the crushing weight of uncertainty. For the first time in his long campaign across the stars, he wasn't in control, and the human, battered and bleeding, walked out of the chamber, with his team still smiling, as the warship began to fall from orbit. Because pressure had never been humanity's weakness. It had always been their forge. And under enough of it, humans didn't break. They transformed.